Hi, this is Alexia Tsotis, and I am in the Zaarly RV with Zaarly CEO Bo Fishback, and we are at South by Southwest, and we're talking Zaarly launch. And for those of you that don't know, Zaarly is a mobile platform to initiate transactions between people who need something and people who want to provide that something in a basic sense. You can describe in more detail.
Yeah. So Zaarly is a proximity-based real-time buyer's market, and that's kind of a little bit of a mouthful, but basically what it is the first time that buyers have been completely in charge of naming the price and naming what they want and how soon they want it. So if you want to pay $50 for someone to bring you a pizza and you want it in the next 45 minutes, you post it on Zaarly, and we make sure that it gets as broadly syndicated as possible, and people who are willing to fulfill that order for you in that amount of time for that amount of money can make it happen. We facilitate in-person transactions, so it is hyper-local in the truest sense. You're looking for people who are close by, who have the thing you want, and who are willing to provide it to you for the price you're willing to pay.
So who else is in this space? I know TaskRabbit does something similar to
Yeah,
this.
TaskRabbit's in the space. You know, there's been a lot of experiments in the space to try to get stuff happening. The big one, honestly, is the Craigslist want ads. But the Craigslist want ads have never quite got it done because, one, they're not real time, two, they're not proximity based. And so you can say you want things all day long, but it doesn't really leverage the way the rest of the internet works, where it can sit on a shelf for 5 years and then someone finds it and buys it, because that's how it works in seller-driven models. In buyer-driven models, it's really all about solving the person's pain when they have it as soon as possible or within the time frame that they need it. And so it really is a pretty different way to approach a market. I actually think the market we're going after today is pretty much totally uncaptured. I mean, it is just value that is left on the table, and it creates a whole new meaning for the time value of money. It's not about the difference between $1 in a year and $1 today. It's about how much are you willing to pay for something if you need it in 5 minutes versus if you can wait 3 hours. And that creates a whole different sense of urgency and kind of willingness to pay for buyers. And if they're willing to pay, they should be able to get the thing they want.
So how does the timing work on the app? Does the price decay as the time decays?
No,
or
so
what's the incentive to get people to
the way
do this fast?
Yeah, the way that it works now is it's really simple. It's like if you've ever been in a situation where you said, "I'd pay blank for blank," at Zaarly you fill in the blanks. And so you say, I'd pay $50 for something to happen or for someone to bring me something and how soon I need it. And so when you publish that time, you're basically saying at the end of it expires. And so you could do another offer then or something at a different price. But the real goal is to say, I'm willing to pay a price that is probably actually quite above the market rate of this to get it now. It is about instant gratification or really hyper-local specific experiences. So I think one of the ways we've talked about it is like an all-access pass to life. You know, if you're in the back row in a stadium and you want, you know, courtside seats or be at the 50-yard line, we provide a way to make that happen.
So what are your payment methods? Like, what are you thinking of using for payment? Is it challenging to facilitate this many interpersonal transactions without some kind of overarching regulation? How are you going to deal with this problem?
I think on the regulation side, you know, we get to leverage what kind of eBay and Craigslist and some of the big players out there have done in the past. And so I think we're in pretty good shape there. One of the big macro waves that we're riding, and why I think this is possible today, and it maybe wasn't 2 years ago, is that we're seeing cash die very quickly. I mean, the death of cash is on the horizon, and there's a million mobile payment providers out there. You know, Square has been so popular and hot in the last year, but Dwolla, PayPal, Bump, you know, so many people are kind of helping foster the death of cash, that what we really hope to do is be positioned in a way that makes all of them more successful by really leveraging the power of those peer-to-peer transactions and being the layer that lets people discover the things they want and consummate those. So, you know, what we really hope to do is make it as easy as possible for people to pay other people for the things they want. And on the other side of South by Southwest, it's one of the first things on our list to do is start integrating and working with those mobile payment providers to ensure that the buyers on the planet Earth can get everything they want when they want it.
So this is a question that was most recently asked by Connie Luizos of PE Hub in a post about our comment system of all things. What's your business? I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm sad I can't troll TechCrunch comments anymore. So what's your business model?
Yeah, as we start to integrate mobile payments, it will be a transaction fee model. So in the cash world, I think this will remain free forever, and to facilitate those transactions, it's just a great kind of benefit to the market. But as we make it more and more convenient, as the mobile payment providers make it easier and easier to pay other people without cash, direct transfer from your bank account, take someone's credit card, whatever it is, we'll be in the middle of those transactions and take a transaction fee either in partnership with the payment providers or in addition to the transaction fee that they currently take, and we'll just do a bunch of experimenting to figure out which works best there for us.
So have you beta tested this? Like, how are you testing this?
Yeah.
How do you know it works?
Right. So we're doing lots of experiments. That's actually what we're doing at South by Southwest. You know, this company is a grand total of 3 weeks old right now. And when I say 3 weeks old, it was 3 weeks from a 1-minute idea pitch at a startup weekend to launching at South by Southwest this weekend.
So $1 million from Paul Buchheit, Aston Kutcher, Naval from AngelList, correct?
Yep.
Aiden,
I didn't think it.
Guy.
Yeah, so it's gone extremely fast. I think really what most startups go through in the first 12 or 18 months of their life, we've gone through in the last 10 or 12 days, and which has been an awesome experience. But we're still kind of holding on to this thing by its tail. And honestly, the reason we're at South by is because it is the most fertile experimentation ground that we could imagine. And so we really made a huge push to get here. And we've got kind of, 4 to 6 pretty well-defined experiments that we hope to run here. What are people really willing to pay for? Is it skip lines to get to the front, or is it have people run errands for them?
How about have people do your job?
Yeah.
Like write blog posts.
Right.
$1,000 to have somebody do my job for the next 4 days.
I think it's a great example, right? That's
I
why
would pay $1,000.
Yeah, we say this. We say, right? It's like if you've ever said I'd pay blank for blank, like that's really what this is about. And so one of the reasons that South by is so interesting for us is that it's full of super creative people. And one of the things we're watching for very closely, and we're monitoring all of the offers and kind of what happens this weekend, is to say how creative are people getting? How much do we have to prompt them and kind of say, hey, here's the areas where this works? Or how much are people willing to say, hey, I'll pay somebody $1,000 to do my job for me? I've thought about it. One of the posts we'll do as we start to open this up to the community here is I'm going to make an offer to have someone bring 50 gallons of gas over here to our RV and fill it up, because I don't know how to drive this thing, but our generator is going to run out of gas before we leave. And let's see, let's do a bunch of experiments and kind of see what really works. And on the heels of that, we've got a pretty clear product development plan. But it's going to really help us focus on kind of the events and how we roll out into new cities and things like that. So this is just it's a perfect venue for us.
So when you're running, what's your most exciting experiment? How are you going to run this? You're going to run this after launch, right?
No, our launch is really experiments.
Okay.
The way that we're thinking about launch is to say, we're not coming down here to spend $1 million and do big billboards and stuff. We're here we've got a group of people on the ground who are talking about it, who are kind of educating people about what Zaarly is and why we think there's a real need for it. But at the end of the day, we thought originally this was going to be kind of a secret launch where we just did some experiments, but there's just been so much buzz created, and it's something that we really kind of hoping to make the most out of now. And so it's going to be a little louder launch, but for us really it is about experiments. What's
your most exciting experiment that you're running now? How are you running this without the app actually being available then?
Yeah, so we're in like a super tiny private closed beta right now. We know all the people who are using it. I wouldn't say we've actually officially launched yet, and we're getting there this weekend with this group here. So we're bringing people in, showing it to them, starting to talk about ideas and doing some kind of internal testing. We've got a team in LA who's working full-time still, honestly, on getting this thing ready for that part. And we've got a team of people here. So we talked to all the biggest pedicab owners in Austin, and they've sent a message out to all the pedicab drivers, because those guys are actually looking at it not as buyers, but they're out riding these things around. They're between stores and restaurants all day long, and as people want Gatorade and Advil for the morning after, these guys are out already. It's an easy thing to fulfill, and for $25, they'll make 20 after they buy some Gatorade and some Advil for somebody. And so we hope a lot of people actually make a lot of money as sellers on Zaarly. But the way we're able to make that happen is by putting buyers at the center of the universe and letting them name their own price.
So I'm a little bit concerned about the logistics here. Don't you need a critical mass of people willing to do stuff for this to work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's two things worth knowing about Zaarly. One is we've got pretty huge ambitions, and for this to really work on a broad global scale, it's going to have to be nearly ubiquitous. And that is actually what we're shooting for. What's working in our favor is that we're rolling it out on a city-by-city basis. And so what it really requires us to have is, in a given city, enough market penetration that we've got buyers and sellers on both ends of the transaction, and are able to make sure that every buyer is happy with what happens, and everybody who wants to sell something can have a shot at it. And so yes, we require something like ubiquity, but because we're going to roll this out on a city-by-city basis, I think it makes our chances like pretty high of being able to get there. Because of events like South by Southwest, we can get really targeted when the right people are in town, and I think we'll have a lot of rollouts around big events like this in other cities, because it's a great way to kickstart that process.
How many signups have you gotten on your LaunchRock page?
I think we're somewhere around 10,000. I mean, it's growing pretty quick. The TechCrunch article this week helped a ton, and we're trying to keep up with it right now, but it's somewhere around there now.
And how many people do you think, like minimum, need to be checking Zaarly every day to have this work?
In a given city, maybe thousands. Not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands in a given city. I think we'll actually get there if this works. We'll get to tens of thousands easily. We'll get to hundreds of thousands pretty easily. But I think something in the low thousands, actually, we end up with something like a kind of liquid market of buyers and sellers where people are getting the things they want.
Why an RV?
Yeah, so two things. One is because we're a 3-week-old company, we don't actually have headquarters yet. But we knew we were going to have a lot of people on the ground here helping us kind of get the word out about Zaarly. And so we made a couple phone calls and found that we could rent an RV for a pretty reasonable amount of money, and had some big banners printed, and it's ended up being our we're calling it our mobile world headquarters right now. But we've got people coming in and out. You know, I'm sure we'll end up having kind of some small parties over here and stuff, and it just makes it really a lot better experience for us to stay grounded here. We didn't have time to get a booth at South by or anything like that. And so it's across the street from the convention center. It's easy to get to. The Startup Weekend guys crashed here last night, and it's actually just serving as a great home base for us.
Is anyone living here?
Right now, lots of people are living here, but in a nomadic way, I guess. So like they're changing in and out a lot right now. There will be people here at all times. I mean, there will be people spending the night here every night. So I just can't tell you who they are quite yet.
Are you gonna put it on Zaarly?
We're thinking about it for sure.
So when are you launching?
Soon.
You'll hear it first on TechCrunch.
That's right.
Cool. Thank you, Bo.
Okay.
Thanks for inviting me to your humble home.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Home
You guys come by at any time.